Hey, Coach, welcome back to a brand new episode here with Phil, Coach Phil. Welcome back again. How are you doing?
Hello guys, hello, yeah, all good.
Excellent. Thanks for jumping on again. It's great to have you back on this brand new episode. So today we're going to be talking about something I get asked a lot, and a lot of coaches always wonder, Leo, with technology today, how can we implement it into our private training sessions? So this video is going to help you if you run one-to-one groups. You can even use this for camps, clinics, and implementing these different tech tools into your sessions. And today, Phil's going to break down 2 to 3 different ways you can do that. But before we get into what we're going to be talking, Phil, how is everything going on your end? How's your week been? How's coaching?
Yeah, been a busy week to be fair. So we haven't been able to film one in the last week. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, everything's going good. Tell you what, every time we're filming, it's a lovely sunny day in London. It's another 18 degrees today. So
We
it's
got to
the it's
keep
the
filming. We got
podcast
to keep
bring out the
filming.
sun. So yeah, no, I've been busy, but it's been a good week and yeah, ready to get going.
Excellent, excellent. And for those watching, Phil is a Chelsea fan. So Phil,
That's not been good though.
give us a little bit of breakdown on how your team's doing.
Yeah, I think very difficult. The PSG loss is our biggest loss in our Champions League history. On
Yeah,
top of that, we've just been handed a year-long transfer ban,
yeah.
9-month academy transfer ban. So basically, Chelsea aren't going to sign any players for a year.
Hmm.
Enzo Fernandez wants to leave. Apparently, your Argentinian boy wants to
Yeah,
go to Real Madrid,
yeah.
from what I'm hearing. And then we lost to Newcastle, or drew to Newcastle. I don't remember. I think we lost.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we're playing this weekend. Must win game. And then we still got the FA Cup. We're in the quarterfinal, so
Hmm.
might still get a trophy in there. Let's wait and see.
Okay, okay. Let's wait and see. Hopefully, in the next episode, we do. Chelsea are in a much better position.
Hopefully.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So, Phil, we'll get into today's topic, right? So, share with us first of all. I think one of the most simplest ways that a lot of coaches that I work with or I see online, they're implementing technology is via video analysis. So
Hmm.
recording sessions, and then providing kind of feedback to their clients and players using that. So what is your experience doing this? How can coaches do this with their sessions? And what is the most effective way to do this?
Yeah, it depends on the sort of equipment you have available. So whether you have, for example, video cameras to record things from a sort of higher perspective.
Mhm.
Um, But even more simple, like if you want to record, for example, your own one-to-one sessions or small group sessions, you can just use a phone to record. You can get one of the parents to record it for you. Obviously, you need to get consent from everyone to be filmed and stuff, but there's apps on your phone as well that you can use to sort of audio record. So I remember when I did one of my university assignments, we had to record our own sort of session. So I had a video camera recording the session, and then I had the phone in my hand and I was speaking into the mic. And then you use an app to put that together, and it does go quite in sync. I think there's like a minor 2-second delay between what you say and what's on the video, but it's a really good tool, not only to learn more about your players because you get to see things back not in the heat of the moment, but actually after when you can reflect a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's also a really good tool for you as a coach to reflect on as well.
Hmm.
So you can reflect on your own session, your coaching behaviors, your sort of approach, the things that you were saying. Maybe you had planned to say some things in a different way and you said things differently, and you can sort of reflect on yourself and the way that you communicate with your players and how you lead your practices. So I think video analysis is really good, both for player development but also coach development.
Hmm.
Because it's a powerful tool of reflection. So even if it's something as simple as using your phone to record or
Yeah.
using an app to audio record and stuff like this, it can be really helpful to both.
Hmm. Hmm. 100%. So you talked about using a software. You talked about using your phone. Now, what are ways that you can then provide feedback to players? Is it through the session itself
Mm.
at the end, or can you do like Zoom calls with them? How would you recommend coaches do that?
Yeah, depends on your sort of booking system and how many sessions you work with in that player in the week. But
Hmm.
you can either do it at the start before the next session.
Yeah.
So you can sort of go through the last session and pick out some key things. Obviously, send if you do manage to record it, send it through to the player and parents as well so that they can watch it back. You can do sort of individual meetings. So
Yeah.
like you mentioned, jump on Zoom, 10, 15, 20 minutes and do a little mini analysis session with that player. Of course, I think probably if you're working with the higher level players, that's probably a really good tool because then you're adding an extra bit to their development. Maybe if you're working with someone who's is a complete beginner or brand new to football and still developing a lot, maybe they don't need that yet because they still need to understand the basics of how to play football rather than overcomplicate and overanalyze their own game yet. But I think if you're working with one of the elite players, um, or an academy player or someone who's very close and maybe is on trial and not quite getting in, you can find them little 1% areas where you can improve them to get them in at the next trial and stuff like this. So yeah, there's different ways. Either you do it at the start of the next session after you've reviewed it, or like I say, and like you said as well, you can jump on a call with that player.
Excellent. I'd also add to that another way that some coaches do it is they do like mini reports at the end of the month.
Hmm.
So they gather all the information that they've had during that month, and then they put like a player report at the end, and then they
Yeah.
send that to parents as well.
Yeah, I did that when I did my one-to-ones last summer. I did exactly that, and we had all the sort of data stuff. So we did a lot of physical testing during the summer as it was sort of pre-season. So it was a case of getting the players fit and ready and keeping them active over the summer. So we did exactly that. I had a sort of player report card that I did at the end of each month. And the parents really liked that, to be fair, because it showed them, on a real visual page what their child is good at and what they need to improve on. So that's
Mhm.
definitely a good tool. If you have the time to do that and the ability to do that, definitely go for it.
Fantastic, fantastic, good. Okay, now the next one is something that's huge at the moment is obviously AI.
Hmm.
So talk to us a little bit. How can coaches today, especially running a business today, I think you've got to implement some things of AI into your business to help you
Yeah.
streamline either sessions or planning. Talk to us a little bit. How can you implement AI into helping improve your sessions?
Hmm. Yeah, and I'll show an example of ChatGPT in a moment, but just to talk through it briefly. So unless you're operating your one-to-one or small group training business full time and you have the privilege to do that and that's your full-time job,
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially those that are starting out and maybe have just seen our channel and want advice on how to deliver sessions and how to grow their business from a business perspective with you, Leo, and then from a coaching lens as well, you're probably only doing this part-time and you're probably working full-time around that. So I
Yeah.
know the last maybe 2, 3 years when I was coaching, I was teaching full-time and then I was coaching around that. So a lot of your hours, your role is very time consuming. And you don't always have the time to sit down and plan for an hour because you might get home, you finish work at 5 o'clock and then you go coach in the evening and you get home at 8, 9, 10 p.m. You make your dinner and everything, and all of a sudden it's 11 or close to midnight. You don't have that time to really put into your planning.
Hmm.
And that's where I think over the last 5 years, AI has come into place, and it's a really, really helpful tool if you use it properly.
Yeah.
So if we just go, so this is on ChatGPT,
Hmm.
and if we just go on, let's type in design a one-to-one soccer coaching session on passing and receiving. So this might be the first prompt that you sort of give AI. And then you put that in, and within 10 seconds, you'll get a 60-minute session, and it all comes out in a nice, neat format for you. And then the best thing about this, don't just copy it
Yeah.
and directly put it into your session. Make sure you actually understand what this has given you. So, a couple of things that are really good, and this saves you your planning time, is immediately you've got your session objectives.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're working passing and receiving, your passing accuracy on both feet, your first touch, your awareness. So that's your scanning skills as well. And then obviously your movement to receive the ball. So stuff like this, and you can very quickly put that into your own words, and already you've got your session objectives. That takes you what, 10 seconds?
Yeah.
And then as you go lower, you've got your actual session plan in a quite nice structured way. So you've got your little warm-up activity. tells you what you're doing.
Hmm.
Now, interesting how when we did our sort of session designing in the previous video or the one before that, and we gave an example of the sort of session planning process for one-to-one and small groups. It's
Yeah.
interesting how the warm-up follows in the same way.
Yeah.
So ball work is immediately into it, and that's something that we touched on, the importance of getting the players with the ball straight away, rather
Hmm.
than using that 10 minutes just on running, unless it's a structured physical session that you're doing.
Yeah.
Probably want to get them with the ball as much as possible.
Yeah. 100%.
And then we've got this. So a little technical activity that you can do, one touch passing, two touch passing, so working on different ways to pass the ball.
Hmm.
Really good from AI as well. It gives you your coaching points. And this
Hmm.
is something that can also be very time consuming because when you break down every skill, not only are you breaking down the technical and how you're actually coaching it, but then you have to look at what are you actually coaching.
Yeah.
So your coaching points. So
Yeah.
things like having your non-kicking foot beside the ball.
Yeah.
So making sure your feet are in the right places when you're actually executing a pass. This is really good for the beginners because they don't know where to plant their feet yet.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you'll just see them standing over the ball and toe punting it because they don't actually know where they're meant to place their other foot, how they're meant to adjust their passing foot to use the inside of their foot as an example. So
Correct.
this is really, really good and useful information.
Yeah.
And then if we keep going, um, gives you that. So here we're talking about open body shape, receiving on your back foot. Again, we mentioned that in the previous video, the sort of 4Bs that we spoke about. So
Yeah.
again, really good. Scanning before receiving, opening your hips. So again, being side on when you're receiving the ball. It tells you also your setup, so how you can design the session. So set up whether you're doing triangles or channels or gates, whatever it might be for your passing activity.
Hmm.
It gives you ideas for progressions and again, coaching points.
Hmm.
And this took me what, 10 seconds to type in,
Yeah.
and it gives you a whole session plan. And that's brilliant because this saves you so much time.
Yeah.
Now, what you want to do with that is you then want to give AI different prompts that are specific to you and the players that you're working with. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're working with an under 12 player in England in the Junior Premier League. So already you're giving AI a little bit of context of your player's ability. Um, let's say there's someone that's awaiting an academy trial, and you can ask the question how to push them to that next level. So now you're giving some really important context, and this will help design your session in a slightly better way. So if we look at it now, and once it loads through, so here already you've got three things that will help that player maybe make it. So playing faster, but also not just the physical side, your mental side. And what it means by that is their decision making, their understanding of the game has to be at a really super fast pace because academy fixtures are played at a really high tempo.
Yeah.
Making better decisions under pressure. So you're going to be up against, if you want to develop your players to be the best that they can possibly be, well, you're going to be up against the best players out there. So they
Hmm.
have to be able to make decisions under realistic pressure.
Yeah.
And again, it touches on making clean decisions at speed. And now again, it gives you a list of things that that player needs to work on. So it talks about the first touch needing to be a weapon, speed of thought, gives you examples of how you can coach it. So the sort of questions that you might ask the player, the constraints that you can add in,
Hmm. Love
and
that.
a lot of this stuff. So now you've gone from having a basic session plan
Yeah.
to now having more detail relevant to the player that you're working with.
Yeah.
And now what you would do with all of that is, for example, I know we'll touch on this next and the sort of how you design a session, but you take all of that information
Yeah.
and now you don't have to spend half an hour or an hour planning it.
Hmm.
And you would create your session for your player using the key bits that you identified over on there. So that's how I would sort of use AI to plan my sessions. I wouldn't copy and paste it or print it directly off that. Make sure you read it, understand it,
Yeah.
take the things that are relevant, and then put that into your plan. So you're still planning. It
Hmm.
just saves you a massive bulk of your time. A session that will take you an hour to plan will now probably take you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's
Unbelievable.
very, very helpful in terms of your time management.
Yeah, 100%. So I'd add two things to that. Well, actually three. I think it's you've just shown coaches how to use technology and to make them a better coach, essentially. Because even using a tool like ChatGPT, it gives you information that maybe you didn't realize when you're planning sessions. So it opens your mind into other things.
Hmm.
Also, as you kept mentioning, understanding the session in front of you. So what it's telling you, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can copy and paste it, but if you don't know how to implement it, then it's just going to look weird when it comes to working with clients.
Yeah.
Um, and then the ability to demonstrate some of the things that it says, right? So once you get to the pitch, can I demonstrate this to my players?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, really great stuff. Any other thing you would add to that?
I think in general, not just AI, but softwares in general that coaches can use.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to look up sessions on YouTube and you can see things in a more visual way. So from videos, and then you can take stuff from there.
Mm,
Um, Probably more relevant to club coaching, but there's a very, very good coach educator in England.
mm.
Sadly, he's not with us anymore. Dick Bates. I don't know if you've heard of him, Leo.
I've
But he
heard of
used
him.
to run all the sort of level one, level two UEFA B coaches.
Hmm.
This was sort of way before my time when I did it. But everyone that I ever knew from coaching in England, they always spoke highly of him. So I one day just went on YouTube and I watched his sessions, and he's amazing
Yeah.
in the way that he simplifies things so much. So he'll sort of stop the session, deliver his coaching points, but they're so clear and concise
Mm,
that it takes him 30 seconds and the ball's rolling again. I
yeah.
think sometimes as coaches, and I've done this as well, we over talk. We
Yeah.
talk for too long. We give 2, 3 minute interventions, and the player's already forgotten half of what we said.
Yeah.
So we like finding ways to keep your information really concise to improve that player is important. And sometimes watching videos of other coaches doing it
Mm,
is a great tool for you to be able to learn and help.
yeah.
Um, every sort of governing FA website will have different session plans for you as well,
Mhm.
and stuff that you can use, and just take ideas from people and learn. I think that's the sort of best way to do things. I know when me and you, Leo, were coaching at PFA together a few years back, we'd always have session plans sent in by the head of coaching. But
Yeah.
then when we got to the session, we'd also adapt things slightly and change things relevant to our group of players that we had.
Correct.
For example, we wouldn't use the same session plan maybe at with the Barnet group that we had compared to our Ruislip group
Yeah.
based on ability levels. They weren't as good. So you have to always don't just have a session that fits all because you're
Yeah.
going to have to be adaptable, and that's the key trait as a coach, I think.
100%, 100%. And you made a good point as well, because, and this is where technology can help you as well, such as AI. You talked about not making your coaching points so long. So
Mm.
maybe, as you just showed us on ChatGPT, they can break down your coaching point into maybe 2 or 3 words.
Yeah.
And that just makes the session run a lot quicker and smoother, rather than you just standing there and talking for 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and losing your players.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we've touched on video, we've touched on implementing really basic AI tools. Now let's talk about what you were going to move on to next, which is
Hmm.
now transitioning your information from a software such as ChatGPT into another software. So talk about what you have in front of us and what you use for your sessions.
Yeah, so this is a free to use software, and there is a paid version of it. I think you pay like 7.99, and it gives you access to animations. But you can use it completely for free. So I use this a lot. I'm sort of old school in the sense that I plan my sessions on pen and paper. And I
Mhm.
remember when I did my FA Level 1 coaching award in 2019, so 6 years ago, that was allowed. So we were allowed to plan our sessions on pen and paper in the little FA book that we got given and present that to our
Yeah.
tutor and then deliver the session. Nowadays, and when I did my UEFA C onwards, everything has to be planned on a software because they want to see things in a little bit more of a professional way. So I'll
Yeah.
be honest, when I go into my sessions with my players, I always have a pen in my notepad in my notebook.
Yeah.
Or recently, I've started took this out of the teaching environment a little bit, sticky notes, and just
Yeah.
having little bits of information on there that I can always pull out of my pocket and just read in front of me and what I want to do in my session.
Mm.
So I still plan the old school way on pen and paper, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that because
Mhm.
ultimately the plan is for you as the coach. How best can you help your players?
Yeah.
And whatever works best for you works for you.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is good to put things into a little bit more of a visual diagram, if you will. So this is tacticalboard.com. Again, like I say, it's completely free to use, and I'll just play around with it a little bit and show you some things you can do. So the first thing that we've got on here, um, is you've got different options in terms of the pitch that you might want to use. So if you go on here, you can, as you can see, you can set up your pitch in different ways. I normally use this one because half the pitch is roughly the space that I work with, so I don't really use the full picture one. If anyone's got a business of such a big scale where they hire a whole 11-a-side Astro, and have different small groups operating everywhere, fair play to you, you've done a tremendous job, and you can actually plan in that way as well. But I normally have this in front of me. It's quite a good zoomed in version.
Mm.
And you can have a play around with it. So let's say we'll do both. We'll do a little one-to-one example and we'll do a small group example as well. So let's say you've
Nice.
got, and we'll use these blue little points as our players. Let's say you've got a group of 4 players and you're working in a small-sided session environment with them. Um, let's say again, we're working on our passing and receiving. So what's good about this tool is if you go on here and then you click this icon in here, you've got a lot of your shapes. Oh, just went out of it. Hang on. So you've got your different cones, mannequins, mini
Nice.
goals, ladders, any piece of equipment that you might want to use in your session, you have available on here and you can sort of map things out. So let's say I just select the cones again, we'll have a little play around with it. It's as simple as, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to show you. You can also change the color. So
Mhm.
you can have any color cone you want. Let's just go with white to make it simple. And you just click and you can just have a little play around and design things however you want in terms of cones, mannequins, goals, players.
Amazing.
Um, this is a really cool feature as well, and you see this if anyone watches sort of Sky Sports and the sort of analysis that they do after games. What you'll see they do is a lot of this. So again, if we change the color, let's make it red as an example. They'll do this a lot on TV,
Yeah.
and they'll sort of build little zones into areas. So I recently was planning a session, working in small groups. This was in my club environment, but it was working in small groups, and we were looking at getting into the red zone and cutting it back.
Hmm.
And I'll show you a little bit of an example. So UEFA technical report, and this is where I get the data for my session. So I always try and link my data, link my sessions to what's going on in the real world.
Nice.
So cutback crosses. Now the reason we do that, if you have a look at the bottom here, 30% of the tournament's goals in 2024 were scored after crosses,
Nice.
of which 43% came from cutbacks.
Yeah.
So as a coach, it's really important you also stay up to date with the relevant information.
Yeah.
So if we know that almost 50% of goals from crosses are cutbacks,
Mm.
we need to work that in training.
Yes.
So what I did is it was a case of players getting into this area here.
Hmm.
So into these little spaces on either side of the pitch, getting into these spaces and then cutting the ball back. And you've got players making your runs into the box for cutbacks because that's what the data informs us that that's how we score.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an example of sort of session planning. And like I say, you can play around with this tool, with this software, and you can design lots of different things, lots of different sessions, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's small group. You've even got numbered little plays as well, so you can use numbers in terms of position references.
Hmm.
Mm, What else have we got here? You've got a text add an icon, so you
Yeah.
can write different things onto your session that to help inform what you're working on and stuff like this. So it's a really good tool. And I think it's amazing because it's free to use. Like there's so many tools like this, but you have to pay for it, or you
Yeah.
have to pay for the special features like designing little boxes like this, for example, you'd have to pay for. So this
Hmm.
is really good. And I do
Yeah.
recommend it to coaches that they can use this to plan their sessions.
Yeah.
Have a little play around with it, experiment what you want. Use this. So what you had in your sort of AI session,
Hmm.
pick out the key points, put it into this, have it on your phone or have a printout version, and then you've always got something with you to take to your sessions. And that I think that's a really useful sort of technology tool for coaches and for their players to develop.
Amazing. So with this software, does it allow you to create like a PDF copy?
Yeah, it does. So,
Yeah.
for example, let's say this is my session plan. I know it's obviously not, but let's just pretend it is. You click the little download button, save it as an image, go onto the image in here, so open file. Here we go. And then now you've got your image in here, and then you can save that obviously to your device, and you can save it in PDF format, add it into your Word document, wherever you want, however you want, create a PowerPoint presentation, anything you want. You can just save it, copy the image, and you have it saved onto your device forever, essentially. So it's again a really good useful tool because you can, like I say, have it saved and have them there.
Amazing. This is, if you're a coach watching, this is a great way to add more value to your program because you
Yeah.
can share this with either your players or parents so that they can see what you've been working on as well. Most of the time, parents just drop off their kid and they've got no idea what you're doing with them during the session. So
Mm.
you could provide this to parents, and parents can just have a copy of it, and they're aware, even though they may not understand what's going on, but at least they know that there's a structure behind what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, great stuff. So any as we start to finish up now, any other pieces of advice for coaches that want to maybe implement video, AI, or use this type of software as well to make their business better?
Yeah. Couple of things I'll add in. So I think one-to-one coaching and small group coaching, because football is such a big industry,
Mhm.
there's space for everyone.
Yeah,
You'll always find players. But so many people are doing it,
mhm.
especially now. I look around in London, and you go to any local goals or power league, you'll see one-to-one sessions happening all the time.
Yeah.
And it's growing and growing and growing. And what will separate your business is the extra stuff that you can add in. So what makes you different? Anyone can go hire a local power league. I'm speaking with England as an example, but anywhere in the world, you can go hire your local pitch, go to a local park in the summer where you don't even have to pay costs,
Mhm.
bring a bag of footballs, some cones, and deliver a session. Anybody can do that.
Mhm.
Or you don't even have to be super qualified to do that.
Mhm.
But sorry, it's the things that you talk about on your channel, Leo. So the business side of coaching,
Mhm.
marketing, advertising, things that strategies that you can use to build your business. It's the
Mhm.
coaching side that we've spoken about in the last few videos on the channel. So really try and think about what you can do to make your business stand out because that's ultimately how you're going to grow it.
Mhm.
That's how you're going to get better as a coach. That's how you're going to develop your players in a better way. And then that message will spread across. So parents will start speaking with other parents. The kids will start speaking with other kids at school and
Yeah.
you can really grow your business. So don't just settle for turning up to a session, delivering it, and that being the end of the story.
Mhm.
So you mentioned, can you make monthly reports
Mhm.
on player progress? Why not? They do this at academy level all the time.
Yeah.
Elite player development plans or whatever they call them nowadays. They keep changing the name of it every season. Um, but they have that every month or on a quarterly basis, they review that. Oh, why can't we do that as well?
Yeah.
Things like using different technology softwares to aid your session planning.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we've touched on, all the stuff we've touched on in the previous videos as well, where we gave you examples of small group, of one-to-one, and also session examples. So really have a think about how you can boost your business to be the best that it can be. Um, yeah, and just put a lot of passion and commitment into this, and ultimately you'll have that success if it's something you're really passionate about. There's nothing holding you back in the world of football. It's so global
Mhm.
that there's nothing that can stop you, but it's just about what you can add in to make your program the best program around.
100%, 100%. And it's also about, I believe, making it more modern and
Mm,
kind of replicating the top level. Because if you can do that, like we just showed you today, implementing technology as well as delivering on the field, that's what's happening at the pro game.
yeah,
So if you can do that, I think you're way ahead of any other coach in your area as well. Okay. Well, thanks, coach. Thanks, Phil. Look forward to jumping on again, talking about another topic in upcoming videos. But if you guys need any help, visit description below. That's going to be the best place you can connect with us. And we've got content going out with Phil every week now. So make sure if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video so we can get it in front of more coaches. And again, if you have questions, description below, that's the best place you can connect with us. All right, Phil, well, have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up on the next one.
Thanks, everyone. See you on the next one.